On the Counting and Summing Basic Count tab, you'll notice we have a table of students and information. In this case, let's do a Control-Shift down, Control-Shift to the right, and I can see up here that it's called Data. Let's go back up to the top of that and scroll on up. We want to quickly identify missing data and errors such as bad data references or values. When you want the area of a rectangle, you would usually take the height times the width. We can also do that to get the number of cells, total cells in this data set. I can say equals rows of data times the columns of data. And it's 822. You'll notice the answers are over here on the side. Why don't you try the next one and each of the following before we do it together? That's right, to get blank cells, we have a formula that will help us called count blank. And of data, it looks like there's a total of 3 blank cells in this. To get non-blank cells, we could take the total cells above minus the blank cells, and it would also give us the non-blank cells. But there's other ways we can get to this same data. I'm going to use the count A. Count A means count all the cells that have any data in it, alphanumeric. So I'll say equals count A of data, and we have that. Try numeric values. That's right, the equals count will take only the numeric values of data. Next, try non-text cells. Can you think of a formula that would help in that? Try the is non-text. Is non-text is not an array function, so we'll have to do something else. Here I'm going to sum it and then say if is non-text of data, then if it is, this will look at each cell individually. I'll put a 1, otherwise I put a 0, and let's close that off. But now I need to remember to do Control-Shift-Enter. There are 555 non-text cells. This works very well with an if statement, but try and see if you can do it by taking out the if statement and making it work. Okay, let's do it together. Maybe you remember it from some of our earlier discussions. But when we have a condition here, and let me get rid of the if, okay, I try to sum it up this way, and it's true or false. I get a bunch of true and false statements, and sum doesn't know how to do that. However, if I can turn them into a numeric 1 and 0, that works. I can either do this by saying times 1, or I can say plus 0. So let's do that and Control-Shift-Enter, and we're able to get the same thing without the if statement. Try the next one. That's right, try using the isText function. Okay, let's copy this one down. And then I'm just going to come up here and take out the non, Control-Shift-Enter, and I've got how many text cells we have. We can do likewise with the logical. Go ahead. Okay, copying this one down. We have a function called isLogical. Control-Shift-Enter always to make sure it works. How about errors? Okay, hopefully you have something called and there's 14. Notice there was two is-error functions. One includes all errors, the one we have, and one would exclude the NA errors, the is-ERR. Let me show you that. Let's get rid of the OR, Control-Shift-Enter, and I only get 10. As you notice over here, we have 4 NA errors. Therefore, we expect only 10 of these. I'm going to return that to the correct value by hitting the undo. Now do the NA errors. Okay, again, is NA, and we have the 4 of them. What will we do with the null errors? We're going to be looking at several different specific types of errors. See if you can figure it out and do that. Then I'll go ahead and help you. We do have a function called error type with a period in between here. Now you'll notice in that I can select which error I want to look at. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on to get all the different types of errors. See if you can do it now using error type. That probably didn't work for you either. Let's work it together. So equals sum if error type, and I want it of data, but we're going to set it equal to 1. I'll put 1 or else a 0, depending if it's that or not. And we'll do Control-Shift-Enter. You'll notice we got an NA error. Somewhere in the data before it got done looking at each cell, it ran into an NA error. It put the error there and just quit. So somehow we need to get past that NA error in order to do that. Let me show you how we do that. I would come up here, and let's just give us some room up here, and say if is NA, and I'm going to do this error type, data. We then need to close out of the error type, and then this will check to see if it is an NA error. If that's true, then we'll put in a 0. Otherwise, we're going to do this that we see before, and so now we have if it's an error when we do the error type, then if it's NA, then we put in a 0. Otherwise, we'll put in the error type. If it's 1, then we'll put a 1 in, otherwise a 0, which will then be summed up. So now we can hit Control-Shift-Enter, and we see there is one null error. Remember, the second error type was divide by 0, so we can come down here, that was 2. All I have to do is change this to a 2, and this is ready to go. Control-Shift-Enter. And there's 3 divide by 0 errors. I've actually put all of these formulas available for you. If you highlight column L and come to Home and change the font to red, you can see that the answers are there and the underlying equations to get each one of these. The next time we get data that we want to analyze and see what the errors are, how many cells, etc., we could just rename that area or that new block of cells data, and all these functions will work. We can quickly identify missing data and errors, such as bad references or values.